In a passage of a building on Prague's most bustling square, a plaque reminds us of a story we seem to have forgotten. Bertha von Suttner, who spent her childhood here in the Kinsky Palace on Old Town Square, came from a prominent Czech noble family, yet her name is scarcely remembered, and this despite her becoming the first ever woman to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1905, making her only the second woman in history to receive the honor and also the first ever Czech and Austrian laureate. She dedicated her whole life to pacifist activity. She championed peace, was a brilliant novelist, advocated for women's and minorities' rights, all while fighting against anti-Semitism. Suttner initially wrote for magazines and newspapers under a male pseudonym. Later, she published a novel called Lay Down Your Arms, inspired by her stay in the Caucasus during the Russo-Turkish War, where she volunteered in military hospitals and witnessed the horrors of war firsthand. The novel, which thrust her to the front line of the pacifist movement, highlights the absurdity of war and caused quite a stir upon its release in 1889, as back then pacifism was often dismissed as an unwillingness to fight. She was ridiculed, brushed off as the fat Bertha, a familiar reaction even today when a woman's appearance often seems to matter more than her ideas. With pacifism requiring a cosmopolitan approach, she may have been too far ahead of her time, especially in an era marked by the rise of nationalism and the emancipation of nations. Her rejection of these ideals made her misunderstood by her fellow Czechs. Perhaps it is for her inability to conform to the conventional image of a proud Czech that she remains largely forgotten today, despite the fact that Austrians, who also didn't take her seriously during her lifetime, have since come to appreciate her legacy. She maintained a lifelong friendship with Alfred Nobel, whom she met by chance when she responded to his newspaper advertisement and began working as his secretary. Their talks deeply inspired her work, and she convinced him to create the prize that would later bear his name. Together, they advocated for establishing what would eventually become the International Court of Justice in The Hague. Suttner herself founded several local and international pacifist organizations, including one in Venice, although she didn't succeed in establishing a similar organization in Bohemia, possibly due to her outsider status. Nevertheless, her contributions were monumental in shifting global conversations toward issues that remain relevant and fundamental today, and this is why we should not forget or fail to honor the forgotten Czech, Bertha von Suttner.